All right, we've got two wannabe car experts sitting here. We're going to go over listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and P-Car Market. You got to see the listings we've got tonight. Plus, we're going to go over the predictions we made on the last show because that's what we do. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Yes, it is. Welcome to the video game show for cars on Bring a Trailer and all the auction sites. My name is John Polnick. We're coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner Michael Deeb right over there in San Francisco. What's up, Michael Deeb?
Cars und Cafe. God, JP, my favorite show to do every month is the one where we bask in the glow of, you know, you and I kind of throw in the same show as I've franchised Cars and Cafe out to the Bay Area. Today, JP, was just epic. I know you had a good show, but I know summers can be challenging in Vegas because it really is just like ungodly hot. But man, out here, it was like overcast and perfect weather, and we had lots of air-cooled cars showed up, and then Yuri and John came blasting off the off-ramp. Yuri in the Alpha 8C and John in an authentic E-Type lightweight continuation car that's one of like Rafi's customers' cars. So they come off the off-ramp at 100 miles an hour, and everybody that's like talking and eating donuts goes whoosh, you know, and you see these cars like downshifting, bang, 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 and it was just like, I don't know, man, it was just a really cool show. So big thank you to all our Porsche friends that showed up. Today you would have been proud, JP, because there were more air-cooled Porsches than I think I've ever had. Lots of G-bodies and cool cars, and just a great show all around. And Esther, my wife, who busts her butt to help produce, and man, it was great. Good times. How was yours?
Very nice. Yeah, we had a great show this morning. Everybody, lots of great people showing up. All our friends were there. Coffee was great. Just a good show. It is usually a challenge in the summer. I'm always amazed that people show up when it's 100-something degrees out. It was great to drive the roof out there this morning. Rami showed up in his 934. It was just all kinds of fun. We had the music. It was just fun. Good time.
JP,
So
is there any truth to the rumor, JP, that in August and July you guys start the show at 5:30 in the morning? Is that true? Is that how you guys do it?
That is not true at all. In fact, I was late for my beautiful wife Rochelle was there earlier than I was because she was opening up the Good Wolf where we do the show.
Right.
And shout out to my beautiful wife. We are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary this week.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you're watching, Rochelle, love you, and I'm very proud of that. We got married here in Las Vegas in front of the volcano that used to be in front of the Mirage.
Oh,
and,
right.
On like literally on the strip, we had Elvis and a Justice of the Peace and all of our friends and the stupid things going off. This was in the year 2000, and who'd have thought that.
Foreshadowing,
right? That we would outlast the volcanoes because they tore them down. They're putting in the Hard Rock there. So we always thought maybe we'd kind of redo the vows or something like that in front of it, but it's gone. So whatever, we're better than them. There it is. Thanks again. All right, let's get on to the show. Welcome to the Nerd Herd tonight. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. If you are new to the show and you are watching us live, this is a live show. It's most fun when you watch it live along with us and get into the live chat, and introduce yourself. You are going to meet great people in the Nerd Herd. That's really the magic of the show, and that's really why we do it, because we love the Nerd Herd, and they make this show kind of like worth doing, because otherwise it's just me talking to so I'd rather interact with all the folks in there. Chris Carbine and at Carbine Motors, and of course Anthony Vieira from Oursmiths, our sponsor. So let's get to it. Let's get to we always do what we do on this show is we always start out by reconciling our bids from the last episode. What's up?
All right, Joe, there's a Joe Y. Sellis that's in the Nerd Herd, and I met him this morning at Cars and Cafe. So quick shout out to Joe, because I know he's in the herd. So say hi to him. He's a total Porsche guy, and it's great to have him as part of the Nerd Herd. JP, we are going to kick off. Believe it or not, JP, we are Lancia heavy today. Did you notice that?
A weird mix. This list of cars tonight is really interesting. Yeah.
I'm going to go on record as saying this is the most Lancia heavy podcast we've ever done, and that's saying something.
That is for sure.
pair of heavy hitters because, Lancia is just like are not well known in this country. But back in the day, and that's like before you and I were born, in international sports car and rally, and Lancia was something to be reckoned with. JP, let's circle back to the 1974 Lancia Stratos HF Stradale. Stradale meaning a street version versus the other cars being, I believe they would be named Corsas, meaning race course or race track or race versions of the cars. But these Stradales were the cars that Lancia had to build in order to homologate the particular car and the pieces that adorn it for rally racing back in the day. So this 1974 Lancia was a premium listing on Bring a Trailer, listed by the fine folks at Griots Motors out of Tacoma, Washington. JP, do you know those guys?
I do. Yeah. I'm surprised you don't. Griots, they make the detailing stuff, wax.
The clean,
all that stuff. Yeah, they have a really cool venue up there in Tacoma where they have they set it up to do car shows and stuff. It's a great spot.
Yeah, I feel like we covered like one of their Ferrari GTBs, like a 328 GTB for them a couple of years ago. I'm definitely familiar with. I mean, I obviously know their products. I'm semi-familiar with them as a lister. But I'm not surprised there's somebody that you would know in Tacoma, Washington. Beautiful car, JP. This one's showing 69,000 kilometers, which is about 43,000 miles from new. The car looks to be in excellent condition. And it's a fiberglass car with a transverse 2.4-liter Dino Ferrari motor. This car won the World Rally Championship twice, but was competitive for a handful of years. And when these things were out there, they're just so spectacular. Such a dramatic Bertone design. JP, feast your eyes on that photo right there. You see that big door pocket on the passenger door? See how it sticks out off of the door? The idea was that pocket was wide enough that you could take your helmet off and place it in the door pocket, open the door, leave the car, close the door, and because of those wide sills to get out of the car, there was enough room for that helmet. Look at that, the helmet to fit in the door pocket. Because, with the rally cars, you had to drive them to the stage, you had to drive them to the pits. They were road cars and race cars at the same time. And, of course, rallying in Europe was the equivalent of NASCAR. Win on Sunday and sell on Monday. So this was a big deal for Lancia to help them sell, regular terrible cars to the unsuspecting general public. But this thing was just a winner, and it's now a legend, and it's now seriously collectible. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a Lancia Stratos HF Stradale in the secondary market is currently only $458,000. We know for a fact that when nice ones come across the block, they bring big money. These cars can bring over $500,000, sometimes reaching close to $750,000. And then, of course, JP, some of those leftover race cars that have incredible provenance and wins associated with their name, those cars can bring over $1 million. JP, this car wasn't doing great when we saw it. I thought it could get up to about $550,246, but I wasn't sure if it would sell at my bid. It does look to be an outstanding example, but man, selling a Lancia in the United States is not exactly the easiest thing to do. If you know, you know. JP, your bid was way over mine. You like the car. Your bid, $666,000 even. And we had Jack. Who was Jack, JP? Tell us
Jack
about
Baruth. Jack Baruth, the legendary journalist.
Absolutely. So Jack joined us as third nerd. Jack's bid over both of us, being a race car guy. Jack liked this car a lot. He went $700,000 for his bid. John, without further ado, our car, to me, did surprisingly well by hammering at $675,000. 45 bids, JP, to get to that hammer price. However, this is where it gets really interesting. That was a failure to sell. So a couple of things. One, JP, the folks that Bring a Trailer know more about this car than anybody else because they allowed them to protect this with an over $675,000 reserve, which I find surprising. If you had told me when we were covering the car that it would have hammered at $675,000 or even just your $666,000, I would have believed that this car would have sold. So what on earth were they holding out for? JP, at 7%, well, it's $7,000. I'm getting lost in the math with how Bring a Trailer charges the buyers for a premium. I guess the premium maxes out at $7,000. So I'm guessing that the reserve on this was $700,000 or higher. And that just seems ambitious to me. Again, this is not RM Sotheby's. This is Bring a Trailer. And I just feel like 675, to me, JP, should have got it done. Now you've got the car kind of burnt. I know you're holding out for big money. Maybe they're looking for $750,000. But I don't know, man. That seems tough, JP. I feel like the buyers for these types of cars, I know it's a 74, but it's like 60s technology to me, and I just feel like they're dying off. And you're shaking your nose at 675. I don't know. There's got to be somebody in the herd that knows more about these cars than I do, and it's going, no, you're wrong, Deeb. That's and maybe this car is $1 million in a couple of years. The premium cars are still going up, but 675 seems a lot for a street rally Lancia in this country. I'm surprised they didn't take the money. JP, what do you unpack from that? That's a lot of dough to say no.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people in the comments are talking about, well, maybe this thing's headed down to Monterey here in a couple of weeks, and I don't know how it gets in at this late stage. This person stuck with it because I think we've seen kind of a bull run here for July that we don't usually see. I think there's been a lot of optimism going on. We've seen a lot of pretty good numbers on cars here for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I think a lot of it is because buyers have been shell-shocked. We went through an entire quarter or more where every freaking week was the end of the world, either with, the economy and tariffs or war and all this stuff. I mean, news was really, really rough. And it's not like things have improved drastically, but it seems like about 4 weeks ago, we had the first weekend in as many weekends as I can remember where it didn't seem like the world was going to end. And I think people were just like, sigh of relief. Okay, let's pretend everything's okay again and just blinders on and let's go have some fun. The weather's nice. Let's buy nice cars. And I think now that we're going into the dog days of summer, we're going into the auction season, the live auction season here in just a couple of weeks. We've seen really, really poor results in the European live auctions. So I think we're going to get a real sense of what the hell is actually going on here in just a couple of weeks when we start seeing the numbers at Monterey, because I think a lot of people now are sitting there going, all right, well, if I'm going to buy something special, I'm going to wait a couple of weeks and I'm going to go have fun and see. And, when you're actually in a live auction, you can kind of put your hand on the pulse much more easily than you're watching numbers on a screen like we do on Bring a Trailer. So this particular car, I think this guy not taking that money, if it's the long term, okay, I think this car definitely appreciates down the road, but in the short term, it ain't selling this summer, and it's not going to sell. She's not going to get more than that for the rest of the year unless something drastic happens, which I don't see that happening. What do you guys think?
Yeah, JP, so the idea that this car would go to Monterey would only be to market it for a future auction. It would not be, last minute installed, because they haven't made phone calls on this car over the last couple of months, which is what all the big auction houses have to do in the months leading up to a big event like Monterey. So let's presume for a moment that RM picks this car up, or Broad Arrow Group. They might bring the car to Monterey and park it outside their live auction with a future date. RM could take this car theoretically to Scottsdale in January, or Broad Arrow could be marketing this car for Amelia Island in March. So that car could be on display where you walk in and you get your books, and it's all buffed out and it looks shiny, and it's just there to whet your appetite. The people who are in the know would say, oh, that's the car that just failed on BAT. But now you can sort of put your nose in it and see how nice it is, and then wait to see what happens when it comes to a live auction. That's the only scenario in which I would see the urgency to bring this car to Monterey, is to start marketing it for a live event, which is where I think this car will find a home, if it is in fact worth the money they're holding out for, which it could very well be. These are just tough cars to price, especially in the States. In Europe, they would know these cars backwards and forwards because that's where they've lived.
This car was never. The European market is totally in the tank, so I don't see.
Oh, absolutely. That's another reason why it's here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, what do you guys think of the results on this Stratus? Should it have brought a lot more money? Do you think the seller was smart to hold on to it, or should they should have taken the money and run? Let's move on to the next car. What do we got, Deep?
All right, JP. Our good friend Doug was selling his modified 2010 Porsche 911 GT3. So Doug is a total hot shoe, total car geek garnered. He's also a part-time journalist. He's a good writer. He can do all the wrenching and modification. He can fab. He can tune. He can drive. Doug's a great guy. He's a guy's guy. If you ever had the opportunity to meet him, like I did when I was in Vegas, he's super nice and generous with his time. This has been his baby, his track toy for the last, my God, since I met him, which would be like 8 years ago. So Doug has developed this car over the years. He uses it extensively on track days. The list of modifications is moot point at this point after the hammer has fallen. But needless to say, he has developed this car that it probably handles more akin to a cup car than even a 997 GT3 RS. And Doug's the type of guy that can extract everything that this car has to offer because I don't know if you've ever watched him drive, JP. He dances like Fred Astaire on the pedals. I mean, talk about a guy that knows how to downshift and all that. He's unbelievable. So great guy. Doug was very excited to bring the car, to bring a trailer. He's very verbose and, like I said, generous with his time. He'll give you a geeky, analytical, nerdy answer if you ask any questions in the listing. We were very excited to watch this listing and cover it for him and bring a little light onto his car. JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a GT3, a 997.2 3.8 liter GT3 is about $161,000 in the secondary market. Doug's listing was doing well when we covered it. I thought there'd be about another 20 grand in it. So my bid was $185,000. JP, you took the over at $189,997, stating, basically paraphrasing you, that whoever gets this car will be lucky to have it because Doug was the one that worked on it. Cannot argue with that take. Now, our new friend Jack that joined us as third nerd, the journalist and part-time race car driver, Jack took umbrage with some of the parts that Doug selected for his car. Jack didn't believe in it as much. Jack's bid, only $165,000. JP, there was a teeny bit of drama in the listing. I honestly don't remember. Some comments got struck. They were questioning why things had been rebuilt and were wondering if Doug was doing the right job disclosing it, which of course he was. But somebody sort of took it the wrong way and then tried to run with it publicly. Then, like I said, BAT had to remove some comments. Some people were making questions, but then other people came to his rescue. What's interesting, JP, is from the time we covered it, I believe Doug's car was at $160,000 when we covered it, and thus it was going to close like the next day or two. And you and I, particular, were expecting several $1,000s more to come. Doug only got one more bid up to $161,000. Now, the car hammered at that number and it sold on that number. So we know just by the fact that the car sold that Doug is satisfied with that dollar amount. But you have to wonder if the late session questioning and, like bringing up integrity and disclosure hampered or poured, as we say, JP, a wet blanket over this listing as it was going into, the money round. As we wind down the hammer, we're all sitting here, we got to roll up our sleeves, popcorn's popping, and we're wanting for the action, and there wasn't any. And I feel like Doug got effing shanghaied, you know what I mean? So I was a little pissed. Again, my take was that the drama was unnecessary, that it was some bullshit being brought up, and Doug is such a good guy and is going out of his way to give you all the information and the most transparent listing that you could possibly imagine, coming from the guy who built the effing car himself. And you're going to question stuff. I don't understand people. Somebody did this to Carbine the other day. And I came down their road because I was watching at close. I was not apprised of this until it was too late and comments were removed. I didn't have the opportunity to step in and defend Doug like we would have. And I'm bummed out. So I'm happy he sold his car. But I felt like there was room. There was meat on the bone, JP. He could have really rang the bell for this car, and that didn't happen. And I really feel like that commenter who started questioning the integrity and the disclosure and stuff like that really sidelined this one. And that hamstringing it's just uncalled for, man. Read the room, bro. Like, you can ask the guy a question privately if you think there's something up, but to question it when you don't know and then bring doubt into the final minutes, I think is really effed up. And so my heart goes out to Doug because I feel like there was more money there and it wasn't realized. And I think it was because of the bullshit that happened. So JP, I know I'm just bringing this to light for you, but I'm really bummed out and it just sucks, man. What can you do?
Yeah, I do think that money was definitely left on the table from this, but I honestly don't think it was from that. As crappy as that is, we see that kind of stuff happen all the time on auctions, and time, it's just the car speaks for itself. The real bidders can see past that nonsense. I think the real problem with this listing wasn't, and maybe it affected it a little bit, but I think the bigger problem was the fact that Doug, congrats, Doug. I think this is a good result, but yeah, more money could have been gotten for this car for one reason only. He listed this car pretty much everywhere in the market for a few weeks before this car went on BAT. And, I gave Doug credit for not being an ask hole. On the last episode, an asshole is someone who asks for your advice and doesn't take it. And he had asked for my advice on a few things, and I gave it to him, and he went out and made a really good video. But he didn't take my advice, and like when he came to Cars and Cafe with this car, I don't know, maybe it was last month, so almost exactly a month ago, and said, hey, we're going to sell this thing. I'm like, put it on BAT, and then he had some other options he was thinking about, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's listed for sale on all the forums and stuff. I'm like, that's not what I would have done with this particular car. And I think basically what happened is that the buying market, the people that were interested in this car, knew how much he wanted for it. It's that simple. So instead of coming to Bring a Trailer and paying a premium for a car that they want, they came to Bring a Trailer and saw the car that they want and said, hey, this is an opportunity to get a discount. And I think that's what happened. This car should have gone for $180,000. No problem. Because you can't, that's what it is. So, but again, the car actually sold, so that's great. That's better than the Stratus. And Doug was smart enough to take the money and get it done, because at that point the car's burned and it definitely wouldn't have sold anywhere else. So congrats. And what do you guys think of the results of the GT3? Let us know in the comments. Any last word on that, Deeb, or let's move on?
No, I like your take, JP, because that's astute. So and that likely contributed, and I wasn't as aware. So there you go.
All right,
let's move on.
What's
all right, JP, we're going to move in, and our friends let me read this real quick because I just want to make sure I say it correctly. Our brand new friends, Peter at A Mechanical Symphony, sent us this listing. Thank you, Peter, for bringing to our attention this premium listing. JP, it's a damn 917 with an LS3. What's not to love? I know this is not an epic race car because it wasn't built by Porsche. It's a kit car, but god dang, you cannot tell me you wouldn't have fun on this. This is like a guy trying to deny that mopeds are fun. They're fun. Get over it. We all know it. Come on. This would be even more fun than a moped. JP, I love delivery. If you're going to bother to drive a race car with a racing Corvette engine, and it might as well look like it just came off the grid at Le Mans. Our car was listed out of Bend, Oregon, and showing just 9 miles. My guess is they just finished constructing this thing, and they were hoping to sell it for profit. And that's an interesting take, JP, because let's get into the result. John, there are no values for previously sold 917 replicas, but RCR, the company that made this, will make you one just like this if you want. If you got the money and the time, they'll build you one. JP, so the only thing we could get from Classic is that real 917s bring about 2.9 million. I thought this car had a chance to get to around $170,000. It's hard to imagine it getting to 250 without a comparable sale of one of these in the secondary market to help bring the bids up to that mark. But I just thought if you're looking at what's here, the fit and finish and all the equipment that's involved, you have to say that's over 150 grand worth of stuff, even if it was a screaming deal. And JP, that brings us to your bid, which was exactly that, $150,917. And then Jack, the journalist and the race car driver, Jack didn't like this car at all, and his bid let us all know that.
I didn't get the sense that he really liked anything. Jack,
no, that's it. Yeah.
I thought I was the grumpy one. Holy crap, dude.
I know. He stole your garbage can, Oscar. Right? So, yeah, $99,900 from Jack.
Stupid livery.
Yeah, JP, our car hammered for just $130,000. No surprise, it failed to sell at that number at 21 bids. So, JP, with no miles on the odometer, my guess is somebody got one of these things, they put it together, and then they thought, this thing is awesome. Look at that. We'll make a video, and then we'll put it on Bring a Trailer, and we'll make 250 grand and make 50 on it or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But at 130, they fell way short. I'm guessing by at least $100,000. What do you make of this? Look, you delve into the replica range, discerning between like Beck's and some of these other 356 Roadsters. This is the same thing. It's just one more digit in the price, right? I mean, talk to me.
Yeah, look, here's the problem with this particular car. I absolutely love this thing, and I think the assets are beautiful. We have wonderful pictures, and there was a really good driving video. I don't know, maybe we can get to the driving video here while I talk about it. But, the driving video just showed how much fun this car must be to drive. And like my LS3 car, my slant nose that I sold, and it did really well for what it was, I think. I think the whole point of when I made the video for the LS3 swapped car that I sold, the thing that I wanted to convey to the potential buyer was that this car is usable.
Right.
And, they've got video of this thing, kind of on the street a little bit, but not really.
Right.
They've got video of it ripping on the track, but I think what they needed to do to get the big money for this car is show that it's useful in some way other than hard parking at Cars and Coffee or taking it to the track. When someone spends $150,000 or more on something weird like this, if they're going to spend that kind of money, they want something that's collectible or something that's very useful. They can put their wife in it and impress chicks or whatever, but you're not taking your Tinder date out in this freaking monster, right? You're not showing up with it. She's going to be like, what the hell is that? She would rather you show up in an Escalade or something like that, right? This car, nobody wants to get in this thing except the person that's actually driving it. Nobody wants to be the passenger. And that's really the problem with cars like this. It looks like a race car, and that's really all you can do with it. And so it kind of doesn't surprise me, because I really was surprised originally when I saw the results, but now that I've kind of thought about it, it's like, Rami, our friend Rami, is about the only person that would buy this car, and that's what made me think, what this person should have done is shown them driving around at a Cars and Coffee or driving on a real road somewhere and ripping the hell through a canyon in this thing. That would have made it romantic and would have made somebody maybe think maybe I'd spend more money on it. Go for it.
I think you would have taken Rami down the strip in this thing, and that would have been
hell yeah,
outrageous.
Right?
Outrageous. Yeah, absolutely outrageous with all the lights in the background. That would have looked amazing. Like right off a video game and onto your screen,
Could you imagine all the photos people would be taking? They'd be just like, is that an F1 car? I mean, that's Vegas. All right, what do you guys think of the results of this LS Swap 917 replica? Let us know in the comments. And what's the next car on the list?
JP, we found a really nice 1994 Audi RS2 on Bring a Trailer and thought we'd take a peek, showing 208,000 kilometers, which is about $129,000. This gray market car is on a New York title and looked to be in a nice colorway in that metallic gray with all the Porsche accoutrement, the big the big reds and the Cup ones. This is a really cool and special car from Audi that Porsche helped to fabricate. And so we just thought, man, let's take a quick peek and see how these things are doing. JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of an RS2 in the US is $65,000. I thought this car would indeed hammer for $65,002. JP, you went $5,000 under me at $60,002. And Jack, the journalist and race car driver, Jack really liked this car. He bet the over at $70,000. John, our car hammered for just $50,555, where it failed to sell on 22 bids. I know you don't care about this car, but I was surprised by that result. I thought $50,000 was light. I'm not surprised it failed to sell at that number. I really thought this car would have got into the 60s because of the colorway, and the mileage doesn't scare me when the car looks to be in decent cosmetic condition, what this one did. Anything we can glean from $50,000 for an RS2?
Yeah, we're nerds, and I'm all about nerding out on cars, but this car isn't for nerds. This car is for dorks, all right? Only weirdos want this thing, and,
Such a fuck.
And look, Jack is the perfect guy. He's exactly what I'm talking about. He's a dork. and we'll have him back on the show, and we can maybe talk about this again. But I think he's the kind of dork that appreciates this kind of car. And guess what dorks don't have? They don't have money. That's another aspect of being a dork. And dorks don't spend money on anything. And I think, like I talked about at the top of the show, where the market's kind of in a weird space right now and things are really getting soft, there's not that many dorks out there that want something like this. And now that people are going, God, is this what's going on? That just shrinks the market. This is just a weirdo car, and nobody cares. I mean, where's
so many people care. So many people care.
Clearly not. It didn't sell, and the guy didn't take the money, and nobody bid on this thing. Deep. It's like, who are you trying to convince? It's like all the weirdo dorks that like these things are like, they're the greatest car ever. They're the greatest car ever, and then nobody buys them. And they're shocked. I'm sure it's fun, whatever. But this is for dorks. Also, not a car you bring on your Tinder date because they're gonna think you're, broke, which you are because you don't have any money to buy this thing. All right, what do you guys think of the results of this dork car that didn't sell? Let us know in the comments. And I'm right, everyone else is wrong. What else do we got?
I'm with you, Jack. I love that car. All right, JP, our friend Mental reached out to let us know a good friend of his was selling his 1960 MGA 1600 Roadster that he's had for, apparently in the listing, 3 decades. He ran the car, no reserve, on Bring a Trailer. We took a quick peek at this 25,000-mile example out of Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, and went to our friends at Classic.com to find out basically what they sell for. Our friends at Classic tell us that the MGA 1600 Roadsters typically bring $26,000 in the secondary market. JP, really quickly, my bid, $19,600. Your bid, $22,000. Jack, just under you at $21,000. JP, it's interesting because there was a bid for $23,750 that was made and then canceled before Hammer, which is a bummer because then this car wound up hammering for only $21,500 where it sold on 36 bids. Obviously, we don't know why bids are canceled, but because I was watching this listing, I got that news in my email feed, and it kind of broke my heart that he lost a couple of grand in that process. But whatever. Mental let us know that this car getting into the $20,000 range would be a win. So congratulations to him. And Mental, thanks for sharing this one with us. It's really cool. We don't know a lot about him, but man, that seems like a hell of a lot of fun to drive with your honey on a Tinder date for just $21,500. So well sold and well bought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that bid was meant to be 13,000 and change, but they mistyped, if I remember correctly. So it was one of those. It was a good faith mistake. Whatever, it happens. I think that's a decent result for a seller who had reasonable expectations. But look at this car; it's beautiful. Like you said, we don't know a lot about them. The problem, my uncle was really into these things, and I think I said on the last show, I never got to ride in them. Not because my uncle passed or something like that, but they never freaking worked. He was always working on them. They're just not super reliable. But this car does look like $100,000 car if you don't know anything about cars. It looks amazing, and it looks classic, and it looks expensive. And so if you can get something like this for $20-something thousand, that's pretty darn cool. All right, let us know what you guys think of the results of the MG, and what else do we have? Do we have anything else from this episode?
Hit the button. Let's go to commercial.
Oh, we are going to commercial. We have predictions. Don't go anywhere, guys. We are not done. We have predictions. We got 5 amazing cars. Stick around. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, I've got my Our Smiths Aviara watch on right now, and I know what time it is. It is time. Oh, look, Deeb's got his as well. It is time for predictions. Let's get to it. What is the first car on the list? We've got a meaty list, and this first one is got a lot of meat right here. What's this car? What do you got, Deeb?
Oh, JP, it's the end of the month, so what does that mean? It means we must be covering a Lancia, right? This is what we do. Lancia's at the beginning of the show. Lancia's at the end of the show. JP, I am going to pander to my client and cover this beautiful 1995/1994, depends on who you ask, Lancia Delta Integrale Evo 2 Bianco Perlato. All right, JP. So Lancia wanted to go rally racing again in the 80s, and they took their econo sort of hot hatch. I shouldn't say hot. It was just a hatch called the Delta. The hot hatch was the Integrale, and that was a car they began to how do I say, homologate for rallying. So the front wheel drive platform was made all wheel drive, and then it got like a better head, and then it got an 8-valve head, and then it got a 16-valve head, and then it got a turbo and became an Evolution. And then the final itineration of these cars, JP, is the Evolution 2. And so this is the last of the breed before they stop making this car. JP, we've got basically a Fiat 124 motor with a 16-valve head and a turbocharger at 2 liters that's putting out about 215 horsepower, which doesn't sound a lot, but it's also got about 215, 220 pound-foot of torque. And these things don't weigh that much, even with the all-wheel drive and those gorgeous boxed fender flares. These are still short wheelbase, relatively lightweight, 5-speed manual transmission, disc brakes, independent suspension, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on. These things absolutely rip. They rip. And if you really get into it and you put like headers and a better intercooler and a bigger turbo, you can easily on the street, presumably in Europe where they don't smog as hard and there's more parts for these cars, but you can easily get like 350 horsepower to the tires on these for like, we're talking like $7,500 in modifications. It won't break you to just unleash hell in these cars. This particular one, JP, was one of the last cars built, and I'll tell you a very quick, interesting story. So they built this car 93 through 95. They may have built them just into the very beginning of January, but it's also entirely possible that when they stopped making them for the Christmas break, that was it. They took the time off till New Year's, and then it's entirely possible that they never came back. Our car was built on like Thursday, December 22nd. And at that time, they were building a final edition, a special edition of the car. The last, I think, 150 or 250 cars were edizioni finales. This car is a previous special edition called the Bianco Perlato, nicknamed La Perla, with the blue leather and the 3-layer pearl white paint. This car was built at the very tail end of edition finale production. So this car had to have been produced for a very important client. The moment the car was rolled off the assembly line and sold, it was immediately exported to Japan, where it spent its entire life, totaling just 10,900 kilometers from new. The car was imported into the United States back in 2023. It is currently on an Oregon title, where it has been for a couple of years. The car was subsequently sold to my client in the Central Coast. He took delivery of the car and did a major engine out service and went through some of the systems, new exhaust parts and some suspension pieces, brand new tires. He has completely gone through the car, and we have receipts totaling all of that work. And now this car is all freshened up and ready to rock. And JP, I have gotten to drive the car on a handful of occasions, including down to our secret spot in the Marin Headlands for this photo shoot. And most of the time, JP, you and I know as fans of almost every car that was ever made, sometimes it's not good to meet your heroes because the car won't live up to what, all that you spent years dreaming about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that this car is so badass. If you ever wished your GTI took itself more seriously, that's what this car is. It's like a GTI that's been to the gym and has been working out and taking some gainers fuel. The steering is responsive and sharp. The turbo comes on and it just goes and goes and goes. The brakes are fantastic. It rides beautifully. I've heard good things about it, but then I've driven it, and it is all that and a bag of bruschetta. It's just amazing. So what a fantastic car. Kev, the photographer, a big shout out to our photographer, JP. I can't wait till you meet the guy. Obviously, he's got a little bit of talent. He did a great photo shoot for us, and Bring a Trailer gave us a premium listing, which is the first premium listing that we've achieved. So it's been kind of fun. There is definitely a long, dry week when you do a premium listing. But in the lead up to Monterey Car Week, we've got nothing but good comments on this car. I've got to take it to some car shows where people recognized it from Bring a Trailer, which has been a ton of fun. And we're very excited about where it's at and where we expect it to go. We're in for a fabulous finish tomorrow. So, JP, I know you've driven GTIs and Scirocco's and Golf Rs and R32s and all of the accoutrement. This is the Italian version of it, and one of the ones that hangs in the halls as a legend. I mean, this is a true icon. This platform, JP, won the World Rally Championship 7 years in a row. And when they made the 93, 94, and 95 Integrale Evo 2, they produced and sold, JP. Are you ready for this? It's basically 2 years of production, but they show 3 years on the Wikipedia. 4,200 of these things. Like, why didn't they make an Evo 3? Like, if it's like, you figure if they stop selling it, it's because they could only get rid of like 800 of them. But if you sell 4,200, why'd you stop building the damn thing? Like, where's the Evo 3 with 250 horsepower and 6-speed? Come on, man. It was right around the corner. So super bummer. Very cool car. JP, I know you love hot hatches. It seems to be kind of a dying segment, but the real good ones like this, I hope will continue to bring the money, because there was a time when hot hatches were everything in the collector market. What do you think of the Integrale Evo 2 La Perla?
Beautiful car. I don't know a ton about them. Unfortunately, I've never been able to drive one. I mean, I know a thing or two about them, but I've never been behind the wheel of them. I've seen a few in the real life, but look, what's interesting, this car should be so incredibly popular. This fits right in that young timer space that we talk about a lot. The millennials are coming into a time where they can start to buy the things that they wanted when they were younger. And unfortunately, when millennials were younger, they didn't know about these. A lot of our younger fans of this show, they don't tend to watch it live. So I get feedback from a lot of people. Shout out to my good buddy J Bob up in Seattle. Great guy, great car guy. And, he hit me up. He DM'd me and was like, "Oh man, this thing is amazing. Did you see this?" So I didn't even tell him about it. And he sent it to me, and he didn't know anything about these. I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. That's my partner Deep's car." And unfortunately, he's just like, "Yeah, tell me about it." I'm like, "Well, here's what I know." And, that's going to hold it back. And I think, what's good, the best case for this car are the assets, are the photos. What you guys have been able to do here with this listing is really show this car in its best possible light, because not only are you representing this specific car, but you're also educating a buyer and an audience that doesn't know enough about these. And when they learn about how great they are, that will hopefully inspire more people to want one and ultimately bid on one. All that said, what's this one going to sell for, Dave? What do we think?
So, JP, there's been this thing, like since I've come home from Vegas since the early 20 or whatever, and going to these great pre-stage and the Breakfast Club rally, and then hosting Cars and Cafe in San Francisco. There's a lot of young car photographers that are out there, and I see these kids that aren't old enough to drive, and their mom brings them, and they've got like their first camera, and they want to go to a car show and shoot cars. And I brought this car out to a car show last week at the Marin Civic Center, which is that beautiful, big, gorgeous Frank Lloyd Wright building. And there was a kid there with his mom and dad, and he was shooting the car like crazy while I was standing there talking to some people about it. And the mother walked over to me and she said, he can't believe this car is here. It's his favorite car. To shout out to all the video games that are out there where a kid who's, maybe 12 or 13 years old can buy this in the game and tune it and play it. And I think that, as much as anything, is educating our youth. And it's shocking to me that a kid that's, I could be old enough to be his dad, wouldn't know anything about a car like this, but that has happened time and time again. So very cool. I'm tickled that a friend of yours called you about the car, not knowing that, it's basically in your wheelhouse, because we're going to cover it on the show tonight. JP, as a premium listing, we're so excited. The car closes tomorrow. Join us early for the Hammer. 10:12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We got a premium listing, thus we got a very early hammer time. JP, I'm going to give you some numbers, and then tell me what you think about the early hammers. Would you rather a car that we're representing, you or I or both of us, hammer, middle of the day, rather early in the morning on the Pacific time zone. Our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of an Integrale Evo 2 is just $102,000. But it is worth noting that these cars all over the world are driven and not, it's very rare to find one in collector condition like this, because most people that have them drove them for a time. Cars like this, maybe not a Bianco Perlato, but Evolutions and Evo 2s were $35,000 to $40,000 cars, JP, for years. And then they just took off and became six-figure cars. So while that's just 102, we expect a car like this to do, like way better than that, almost twice as much. Yeah, kind of thing. So that, and it's not easy to do. This is still a niche car. This is going to the guy that collects Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and now you're going to try and sell him a massively expensive six-figure hot hatch. These aren't easy sells in this condition, but for those guys that are into racing or once a rally driver and they've got the money, this is a car that you use to sort of round out your collection. This would not be the jewel of your collection, not like this. So, JP, I pass it over to you. Your buddy's Lancia Delta Integrale Evo 2 Bianco Perlato. What's your bid?
Well, I think because we're going into Car Week in just a couple of weeks, I think this is the kind of car that someone buys and drives there. I think this is really something. If you're gonna do it now. I think we're still in a bit of a spirit of optimism. This car is as nice as they come, and hopefully you'll get that video game bump. I didn't realize that it was in so many different games, and that's significant. That's significant. So I'm gonna go for the moon. I'm gonna say $180. I don't think it's gonna be twice as much as the average, but I think it has a chance of getting up there. I don't see it breaking 200. But this is if I know people are into these, and this is as nice as they come. So let us know what you guys think. And let's move on to the next car. What do we got, Deeb? Good luck.
All right, JP, thank you for that. Here we go. JP, this is a really interesting car. I'm just going to run through it. It's a 1981 Porsche 930 Turbo. You know that this has to be a European ZZZ car because we didn't have the turbo in the States in 81. This particular car was modified by Roof to become a BTR coupe. JP, okay, no big deal. It's on Doug DeMiro's site. Good luck, Doug, and all the new guys, Dan Harmon and the crew. They could sell this car. It shouldn't be a problem. This should be no nonsense. It's low mileage. It's an attractive colorway, and roofs are hot as hell right now. That's like trying to pull the pot roast out of the oven with your bare hands. They're so hot. However,
I've got one in my garage right now. I've been driving all weekend.
You lucky bastard. Yes, JP, so I bounce over to classic.com because, that's what I do. And when I pull up modified 930s, this car shows up 7 times. So really quickly, JP, it sold with the British auction site in December of 2023 called Collecting Cars. They got 101,000 euros for the car. Then the car winds up stateside back in May of this year, 2025. Just a few months ago, JP, it was a no sale at P Car Market for $126,000. They must have made a post-hammer deal because then 4 days later, they mark it as sold for $140,000. Okay, so you think, all right, there's a new owner for this car. He's going to be happy, and he's going to go clean up and fix and, take this thing out to Vegas and go to the Overton run or something, right? Like 160 miles an hour. Then it shows up on Collecting Cars again in June of this year, where it's not sold with price not closed, and then Collecting Cars runs it a second time. So it shows up June 26th, June 27th, and then June 30th, it appears on Cars and Bids. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if there was no nonsense behind the car, I don't think Dan and Doug and the boys at P Car Market would have any trouble selling this car because of the car. But this particular car has had a storied and very troubling history just in the last couple of months. And so I know that they are excited to have old cars and premium cars on their listing. And again, how do you tell somebody to say no to the potential, commission that's associated with what should be about $150,000 car at a rip of a price? To me, this car, if it's all gussied up and cleaned up and it doesn't have any ghosts in the closet, that this would be a closer to $300,000 car. It does make 379 horsepower, for God's sake. This is a badass car to have. But this one, I even as a featured listing, JP, I think this is going to be a tough sell into the retail number. And what is going on with this car that nobody has just taken it and sequestered it, started driving it? I feel like it's too soon to come to market. I understand why Cars and Bids says yes, but this one is going to be a long road to get to the sale. So JP, what do you love about the roof, and what do you make of this checkered recent history? Like, what's going on with this damn car, you know? And it's here. It's in Mill Valley. It's right.
No, it's right up the road from me. Yeah, you should go drive it. No, well, shout out to Kelly Smith, who sent me something kind of interesting just before the show. You got to love the Nerd Herd, man. You guys are awesome. Always bringing it. Check this out. You mentioned all the different places that it was sold. Well, how about this one?
Yep.
Our friends at P-Car Market have it currently listing. This car is on P-Car Market in the Chum Bucket right now. With a buy it now price for $200,000. Cars and Bids. I know you guys are trying. I know you guys are swinging.
That's not good.
Little bit of research, little bit of Google machine. You got it. This is, and that's mentioned in the comments too. People are like, this car's on P-Car Market right freaking now. How do you make this thing live without checking that kind of thing?
Yeah. How is it still in the Chum Bucket when they had it marked sold at $140-something thousand, as I just read as one of the results?
It's just a clown show in both regards. And I so want Cars and Bids to succeed. I so want there to be a legit contender to kind of balance out the BAT, juggernaut that's pretty much dominating this auction market. But with stupid unforced errors like this, guys got to do better. What do you think with that in mind and all the other things? What's this thing gonna bring? Because it seems DOA to me.
Yeah, it's at $70,000. It's got 2 days to go. It's on 16 bids, so it's got good bid action. But if this has come to light, which even I didn't know, I wouldn't put another bid on it myself. I would just sort of wait and find out what's going on, and if I had interest in the car. I do think the car is cool. It needs a little fixing up, but in of itself, it should be a value. JP, initially I had thought that this car would get to about $100,000, but at 70, I don't think it gets beyond $75,000, nor should it. Somebody needs to figure out who's really selling it, what's it really worth, and make a private deal. This car needs to come out of the public eye.
Yeah, I mean, if this were no reserve, it'd be one thing, but it's not. So I don't think it gets another bid. That comment is in the comments below when the real bidders start getting there at the end of this auction, and it's time to actually put your money where your mouth is. Everyone's going to be going, what the hell? They can go to P-Car Market and see that they want $200,000 for. This is DOA. You're wasting everyone's time, Cars and Bids. Oops. Do better. All right, what's the next car on the list, Deeb? It's too bad about that.
All right,
one,
JP. Right? So the Bid Nerd's got a little mojo. We've been covering RWBs for a while. My salty partner loves to make fun of them because they're all show and no go, as in most people take a perfectly good 964, which should never be the donor car for anything. It should just be a 964. And then they graft, grafts on, he smokes 2 packs and he grafts on fenders on 964s and make them look like they're 300-mile-an-hour cars when they still only make 247 brake horsepower. Everybody has wondered, JP, aloud and in the comments to you and me and everybody that's listening, well, wouldn't it be cool if somebody did one with a turbo? Well, somebody finally did. JP, feast your eyes on a 1992 Porsche 911 Turbo that has been RWB modified. So we know this car, JP, is making at least 300 horsepower, 315 or whatever 964 turbos make. But my God, could you imagine modifying the turbo in this and really have something? Kind of miss me with the the wrap job that's on this car. I'm not really feeling it. I get it. It kind of looks like a concept car.
Shut up,
but,
boomer.
Yeah, but you like the white and black?
I'm breaking in just because it's like this. Look, it's not for you. RWBs are not for you. I love you, brother, and but you're just this is a millennial or Z generation car if there ever was one. This thing is badass, and it is the opposite of that 917. And I'm not saying it's for me either. This thing's even a little bit over the top for me, but for the kid that wants an RWB,
oh yeah,
this is the more wild, the better. And yes, you can take your Tinder date in this one, and she will think it's cool because this is what young people like. She's not going to want to get in that 917.
This it looks like one of Eddie Van Halen's guitars, and I do dig it. It's just not the one I would want for myself.
Do I need to make another boomer joke? What's this going to bring?
Yeah. All right, JP. Yeah. So our car at a Pompano Beach on Bring a Trailer.
By the way, we love all our boomer audience. We love boomers.
Closes in 3 days. JP, 61,000 miles on this car, and it is a domestic VIN. So this is just a really cool car, and it's got JRZ remote reservoir coilovers, Brembo brakes, Recaro seats. I mean, the list goes on and on. This one, JP, truly does look badass. John, our car is currently sitting at $122,000, and it closes in 3 days. There's no real anything like there's no RWB section for classic, so we'll just leave that aside. JP, when I looked at it, it was at $121,000. So when I submitted my bid, I thought essentially it would make another $100,000. So my bid, JP, is going to be $221,000, where if it sells for that number, I would consider the winning bidder lucky. It wouldn't surprise me, JP, if this one pushes 300. We just haven't seen roofs do that well lately, but none of them are turbocharged like this one. Look at that thing. Well, that's an aftermarket intercooler, so it's already making close to 400 horsepower. Where you at, JP? What's your bid?
Yeah, this isn't an RMC. I mean, this definitely looks like one of their cars. This looks like something Rami would. I'm going to go 249,964. This is definitely going to sell. This is what's hot in the market right now. The people, this is what the people who are spending money on want. The older guys are kind of holding back and only buying blue chip stuff. The Gen Xers our age are all kind of going, what the hell is going on? We're kind of like in a room, like our generation is just completely, we don't know, we're shell shocked. And then the younger guys are like, hell yeah, I want that video game thing. So yeah, I think this thing has pretty good potential. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, and we still got time for another car. What do we got?
JP, as I get older, it's great to have a platform because people ask me about cars all the time and then I don't write down and I forget. So whoever asked me for a basic Miata, this is my answer to that question. We found one. It's an original owner 1990 Mazda MX-5 Miata with a 5-speed manual transmission out of Brick, New Jersey, showing 10,000 miles on the odometer. JP, this car looks like it's right off the showroom floor. I know you don't like blue, but I'm down with this color. I love it. And man,
I don't like basic blue, and I don't like it's not my first choice. But this car does look really nice. This particular blue, it's the popular blue on a lot of different brands. But I'm sorry, continue on the car.
Yeah, Mazda's Mexico blue, as Porsche would say it. But JP, this is no nonsense. It's all stock. It's barely used. It's only a crime is that it wasn't driven enough. But man, check it out. We're going to find a truly collectible, almost unmolested early Miata. What's your take?
Yeah, these are so much fun. I mean, I actually owned one that looked identical to this a long time ago for a short amount of time. I'm surprised. This one's great because it has the LSD. I'm surprised they optioned it with power steering, because back in these early gen ones, you could order them without power steering. This would be perfect. This would be the perfect back road, inexpensive, just super minimalist little ripper if it didn't have the darn power steering. But even with the power steering, it's fine. These really are the epitome of slow car fast. You cannot help but have fun driving one of these. You may not be the coolest guy on the block, but this is for the guy that just doesn't care what anybody thinks. And I think this thing's really, really neat. And I think it's all. I can't remember the last time we saw one with this few miles. What's it going to bring?
All right, JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of an early Miata is just $11,000. Our car is currently sitting at $12,000, and it doesn't close for another 2 days. JP, I'm going to say because of the color, the limited slip, and the low miles, I think this car is going to basically double before hammer. My bid, $24,000. Where you at?
Yeah, I'll take the over on that one, but not by much. I'll go 25 and just say this thing potentially could go in the 30s, Deeb.
Totally.
You know, I mean, we've seen
Look at
Mark
it.
IIs and others. I mean, this is total unicorn territory. And unlike half the other cars, unlike almost all the cars that we've talked about, like everybody knows what this is, and there is about as big a market for these as you can possibly imagine. And to basically get a brand new one, this could be I don't know, this could be a $40,000, $50,000 car. That would not shock me. I would like to see better assets. I think this car deserves better treatment, and I think it could potentially get $50,000 if someone took their listing seriously. This, unfortunately, is going. A lot of people are just going to swipe on by this one. They're going to scroll. They're not going to stop because they're not even going to realize how special this is because they're just going to think it's a run-of-the-mill Miata with 150,000 miles on it. All right, let us know what you think this little Miata will bring. We got one more. We got a couple of minutes. Let's do a really fast one.
Okay, I just got to check something really quick because Chris Carbine is blowing me up about his FF, but I have it on the bill for, let me see. July 31st is Thursday, Chris. You got to relax. Chris, your FF closes on Thursday. We're covering it on Wednesday's show. It's already in the thing. JP, right now there's a 1992 Porsche 911 America Roadster with just 29,000 miles that is listed on PCAR Market. JP, a no-nonsense, low-mileage 92 America Roadster in this condition should be damn near a $200,000 car. This car is on PCAR Market, and it looks pretty hot in this sort of dark blue metallic, but I come to find out that that is a wrap and that the paint that's underneath it is pretty rough. So now the car is sitting, and it basically closes in 2 days from now, JP. This car is going to close on Tuesday, and it's sitting at just $45,000. Now, it got 15 bids, and it's got some comments. So a very interesting thing. These cars are becoming really collectible. They only made, John, I think, it says 250 units. I don't think that's accurate. I want to say, and somebody back me up to this, America Roadsters, they made 125 of them. They're really, really rare. I don't think they made 250. I'm almost positive that number is incorrect from me having that nerd knowledge. But, John, you and I, this is
what's it going to bring? We're low on time. What's it going to bring?
Quietly between us, this is both of ours, one of our favorite cars. JP, it's sitting at 45 grand. I think it only gets to $91,100 and fails to sell. I'm going to guess you're going to be the under.
So there was only one picture of how poor the paint is. God, with 21,000 miles, how does it look so crappy? I assume maybe it was left outside or something. I wish it had more miles because I would take a shot at this. This would be a great, it's the only wide body 964 two-wheel drive car
ever.
It's like they're really, really neat. Your number was what, 91?
91,100, 911.
I'll say it gets to 70 and goes to Chum Bucket for $1.50 or something like that. But all right, let us know what you guys think. And that is another Bid Nerds in the can. Thank you guys all so much for hanging out. Go on to all the listings that we talked about tonight, and in the comments say that you saw the car on Bid Nerds, and see if we can get some more people to join us for the live shows. And we will be back Wednesday night. And shout out to my lovely wife. We are
Rochelle,
celebrating
happy anniversary.
25 years. There it is. So I will see you guys Wednesday, unless she says, 25 years was enough and finally puts a bullet in me. All right, we'll see you guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys Wednesday.